Hi, welcome. On this video, I'm going to be continuing to work the relational script with Lucky. And here, this exercise involves my other dog, Polly. Okay, so here when you're doing the scripting, when you're changing the relational script so that Lucky is coming into as a follower to me or follower to the dog owner, it's very important to make sure you're connecting properly. It's all about maintaining this connection level for a period of time. So you don't want to go off leash or look at the picture that way off leash. You don't want to invest in a certain picture of things until we know that we've established a good foundation through a relational change, through connecting properly, okay, through making sure we define the script properly. And how that's done, again, through using the leash, through using the relational scripting process. And what that consists of is, influence comes online. What I define is relational influence. So what that involves is interrupting, okay, states of mind, certain states of mind. So you're in tune to the level of separation. So a dog is holding a lot of power. What happens is you start to fade out, which means that the dog is objectifying. You'll see that through the level of separation, how the dog will express those states. And really what happens is the dog will either toll booth the person, where the mind is kind of jumping over the person to seeking fulfillment, to get to what they want. And so because dogs are relational beings, so they pivot off, relationally they pivot off other dogs, other people. So we're here, and I'm going to tap a little bit, okay? You see Lucky's already stressing a little bit because he's in close proximity with Polly. And this is the first time this is happening this way, okay? So it's a different type of scripting process, so you'll get a different reaction from the dog, because what I'm doing is I'm exposing the real problem here, is that I'm fading in, I'm establishing the pivot point, I'm becoming the center of the relationship. So, and Lucky knows that because that's what I've been doing while he's been here. So right here, I'll tap a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to tap. And so here, when you start the process, when you're starting to script this, because this puts more pressure on Lucky, you want to do it in a very controlled way. I don't want to just immediately let Polly loose and have Polly enter the space yet. I'm just starting to work on the script from the distance here. And so work on the script means what you'll be doing here is assessing certain things. I'm going to see the tension that's on Lucky. When you're doing the scripting process, things to look for is the level of tension on the dog, even the muscle structure. Okay, even when you're creating your moments, you'll see kind of like how the mind works. The mind will pull in, and so here, as the mind pulls in, it creates this level of tension with the dog as the dog's holding power, because that's what happens. It goes into its own little kind of state where it's trying to hold on. Okay, so this is where the issues of fear aggression come online too. So here, what I'm doing again is just tapping, and you'll see the dog that has a certain level of power. When you're scripting it this way, you'll see a certain level of the dog will be in some chaos. Okay. But it's controlled chaos, because again, I know, by being in tune to the scripting, I know what's happening. I'm dealing with it, and I'm just working on the script. Okay, I'm communicating in a very, very clear and consistent way. And the problem here with a lot of what can happen to a lot of dog owners is that they're invested with too much emotion. Okay, so when they're trying to do this scripting, they're not communicating in a clear way that's going to define the follower script properly. And I'm talking about clear way, I'm talking about leadership. Okay, you have to shut down emotion. It's not a fact I don't love dogs or anything like that. It's a fact about I'm looking at the big picture. It's what my goals are. Okay, so I'm looking ahead. That's very important here when you're doing this, to understand that they come out on the other side, especially with an aggressive dog situation, which Lucky is. You have to be really thinking clearly. You have to keep the script very well defined. Don't rely don't invest and don't rely on the picture of things, because you can be deceived. Okay, a dog can be, you let a dog just kind of free flow in, and this is what happens with dogs. They'll appear to get along and connect with other people, and you'll get a picture as though the dog looks okay, and the dog's not okay at all. Okay, the dog's gaining a huge amount of power. You can't. So how you can tell if that's the case is when you bring the dog under leadership, under reasonable influence. Watch the reaction of how the dog reacts with that. So, for example, if the dog interacting with other dogs, and at any time you should be able to say, "Come," that dog should come to you. If it doesn't, or if you want to assess, what the picture is really happening beyond just the appearance of things, go over, put the dog on a leash, and bring the dog out from that situation as a leader, and watch the dog's reaction. The dog is really kicking up and challenging. You have your answer. Okay, that's why dog parks in certain places are very problematic based on assumptions people make. Okay, so very important that, again, you need to be scripted this way. So here, same thing. I'm just tap, I'm nudging, head turns in. But you can tell the stress on Lucky, okay? Lucky, there's stress on him. So again, what I'm doing is to deal with that stress, the same thing, just tap. But again, this is a process. So here, Lucky's here for 2 weeks. This is day number 8. And so now what I'm doing here, based on the scripting process, is I'm starting to, expectations are increasing here a little bit. Okay, I'm starting to get expose Lucky to other dogs, other situations here a little bit, just to help define the script. So this will be ongoing. Again, ideally, that's why I only board train dogs for 2 weeks, because it's recognizing that the owner is the key person. Okay, the owner needs to change to keep the script going. So, when you look at kind of a scale of change, if you look at how that the path that follows, I'm making really good change in 2 weeks, but then if I go any longer than that, I can still make change, but the owner needs to come online. Okay, it's all about kind of like the goal of things. Okay, and if I go any longer than 2 weeks, initially anyway, then what I'm doing is I'm setting it up. I'm taking the focus away from the owner changing that way. Okay, the owner really needs to come online a little bit sooner. Within 2 weeks is a good time period. That's how I work it. And then the owner needs to take over the script. Okay, keep the scripting process going. And in some dog cases that are really aggressive, dog can come back again for another 2 weeks. Okay, after the owner has invested, has faded in, has become a pivot point, and then the dog can come back, and that's the best way to approach this type of process. So here's just a little nudging. Now I'm going to let Polly out here in a second, and as I do this, I'm going to try to keep this within, so you can kind of see what's going on. I'll try to keep it within this area here. Polly's out of camera view. She's in a crate just beyond me, and I'm going to bring Polly in. I'm going to come back here. You're going to see me now. The script may intensify. I'm not going to keep it prolonged. I'm just the goal here, and I'll control Polly here some. I don't want Polly coming all over Lucky. And that's the thing. When you're using another dog, you want to use a balanced dog. You want a dog that's scripted, that's going to follow your direction, that isn't going to inflame the situation. You always want to work off a balanced dog. But when you're working off pack dynamics and you're working off other dogs, be careful of that. I know a lot of people will use other dogs to help them script it. Again, you can't rely on that picture. Okay, so I'm nudging a little bit more here. Can't rely on that picture because, again, dynamics don't lie. The pack dynamics are different than human dynamics. So you want to work off the human-dog dynamic this way, very direct, meaningful. And so when you're scripting with other dogs, you want to be doing it this way. So I'm going to get up here. A little tension coming off on Lucky here a little bit. I'm going to move him a little bit here to the side. So here, again, when I stand up, I sit down, but even when you sit down, you can that can be kind of an emotional connection for a lot of people. So a lot of times you want to get on your feet. You want to make sure, keep a little bit of distance. Don't touch the dog. Don't let the dog lean into you, because that'll change how you think. That'll change how the dog thinks. You want to always create a little bit of a distance here. You want to keep the technique very clean. Okay, so here, see Lucky's coming over to try to lean on me a little bit. A little devaluation going on, because he's seeking a little bit of power, okay? Because he knows what's happening here, okay? So he's trying to go into his comfort zone, but I'm taking him out of his comfort zone. This is about challenging the agenda, challenging his agenda here in re-scripting. So it's very intentional what I'm doing, the scripting. So you see him Okay, he's whining a little bit here because when you see dogs, it's interesting. You see dogs, they know that they're trying to re-script this. You'll see them draw back. You'll see them, whereas before they want to go forward, they want to go into their own little pathological space because they don't want it re-scripted. Okay, they know what you're doing. But when you deal with pit bulls, be very, very aware. Lucky is next, but he's you can see a lot of the pit bull in him. Be very aware that dogs that pit bulls can hold a lot of power, but they'll flash over fast. They won't give you a lot of warning. And so be very aware of this issue of devaluation. You want to make sure the script is very intentional the way that I show it to fix aggressive cases. Okay, this is the best path to take. So I'm going to let Polly out here for a couple minutes just to put a little more pressure on. But this is meant to be a very controlled exercise. Okay, so I'm going to go over and take Lucky with me when I do this. I'm going to bring Lucky over. Now here, I'm not going to let Lucky interact here with Polly beyond me. I'm going to tap. I'm just going to keep it going. So like I said, Polly, stay. So even right here, hey, stay. Because the thing is with Polly, she knows I'm going to protect her, and that sometimes can give her a little bit too much, confidence, or she'll come over and try to really get in my space here because she knows that. But it's not helpful for Lucky. So I'll keep for what my goals are. So I'll keep Polly somewhat over just a bit. I know you may not be able to see. There's Polly right here in the front. She's coming in. Hey. So here I'm going to tap because what I'm communicating here to Lucky, okay, I'm doing it. No, I'm the center point. I own everything. I own you. I own Polly. And I own everything else, okay? Because you have to define it this way, okay? It's all dogs are relational beings. So it's not about taking hope away, saying they can't, Lucky can't meet or eventually go into, being off the leash and with other dogs. But I have to set the script in motion. I have to establish myself as a pivot point, okay? This is very important. So even here, see, Polly's behind here, but I'm not going to let Lucky's head turn. I'm not going to let Lucky's head turn around and separate that way. I'm going to keep Lucky under the script. And now how I know that the issue, okay, how I know I need to is because of the reaction from the stress levels on Lucky, okay? Lucky has a little stress going on here, just tapping. So here, all I'm doing here, I'm focusing on just I'm calm, I'm comfortable, I'm prepared for anything. And that's why the muzzle's on, okay? You want to keep the muzzle on the dog, protocol on the dog, because, again, it's all about making sure it's to help Lucky, it's about to help me, make sure my thinking I'm thinking the right way. So anyway, I'm going to put Polly back. This is just a little bit of a glimpse into this exercise, very controlled exercise. And all you do is just work on the scripting this way, and then the dog will Lucky will start to get, his mind will start to loosen up, start to get more into the script. And then you can proceed from there. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.